Well, I think we can start now. I'm Paul, and a very warm welcome to the Ataxia Conference for 2025. Another one of those conferences where we're not meeting in person so much, we're doing it over the internet. It seems to have made things so much simpler from so many people. And it means also that we can be joined by people who are far flung. And I'm talking about people who are joining us today from France and Australia and Belgium and America and Romania. So you are all very, very welcome. Now, let me remind you that although I'll be going through in a moment all the icons you can click on for clapping if you agree with something or thumbs up or whatever. We do have a tradition here on the virtual conference of when we welcome or say thank you to a speaker, because all our microphones are muted, we do this. We have jazz hands. So can we quickly practice some jazz hands, please? Just to check. There they are. Oh, brilliant. Sue, where's your jazz hand? Thank you very much. Right. Thank you, and quick jazz hands to everyone who's joining us from far-flung areas. Thank you also to Lexio Therapeutics for sponsoring our conference. Without them, this would be a lot more difficult to pull together. So I think we should give them some jazz hands too. Thank you very much. And our first presenter giving a presentation is going to be our CEO, Sue Millman. Now, last year, if you were with us, Sue's presentation was very, very optimistic. I wonder if it's the same this year. Sue, is it?
Well, it's been a bit of a curate's egg this year. Ataxia UK urgently wants treatments and cures for the ataxias. We fund and promote research aiming to bring this about. Until this is achieved, we'll do all we can to support people affected by ataxia and improve the quality of treatment and care they receive to enable them to have the highest possible quality of life. This is Ataxia UK's mission statement. And this year has been one of mixed results in bringing about these ambitions. Several significant milestones have been reached, but there's also been bumps in the road. Our services to people affected by ataxia have continued to develop, and we must celebrate this. In May, we launched our first ataxia specialist nurse service at a roadshow for supporters in Exeter. Camilla Notley already has a caseload of 50 people and has had some successes. Of course, individually, the successes tend to be regarding issues that seem small to an outsider, but are huge when you're living with them. One lady hadn't seen a neurologist for years. Camilla spoke to a neurologist that she'd got to know, who quickly arranged an appointment and provided a satellite clinic local to her. Someone else had been told that they would have to wait over a year for a new wheelchair when they can't get into their current one. Camilla liaised with wheelchair services, and now it's arriving this November. Life-changing for the individual involved. But the overwhelming message is that people have been tolerating symptoms and circumstances for years because they think that nothing can be done. There's a reticence to talk about bladder and bowel problems in society in general, but they accompany the ataxias, and there are some symptom relieving treatments. Camilla is able to give information about where help can be found, and if necessary, liaise with the therapists, clinicians, and social services to ensure it's provided. She's also found problems for which people can get support from our helpline and advocacy services and put people in touch. Here's a couple of slides that show the use of the helpline and advocacy project. Helpline and advocacy over the years. I'm not very good at multitasking these days. I'm trying to get my slides up. Well, so that was the mission statement, which I forgot to display. But anyway, there we go. I'm trying to get you on full screen, and it is absolutely refusing. There we go. So this is the helpline. You can see quite a, it's called year 1 and year 2 because it's regarding the current project funded by the National Community Lottery Fund. And you can see quite a large increase, or significant anyway, increase in the number of contacts with the helpline, and also the number of individuals, and then the number of issues that we supported them with. And this is increasing year on year. And you can see a very satisfactory, from our point of view, pie chart, which talks in terms of actually 96% of our callers who've responded to this found it either helpful or very helpful. And then just a small number finding it unhelpful, and we're disappointed about that. But maybe people had wrong expectations as to what we could supply. And then the advocacy service, which hasn't been going very many years, and is staffed by our helpline and advocacy manager, Jeff Sugden. But you can see the biggest issues are benefits, accessing the NHS and grants, certain amount of social care, and then you move into smaller items. The advocacy service is one where we can work with people in more depth, and that means that we can get to the point where we remedy a lot of the problems. And you can see that we've produced nearly £72,000 in unclaimed welfare benefits that people are now getting. And in general, the sorts of welfare benefits we'll be going for are ones that reoccur year after year. So that means that we will have improved the financial circumstances of those people quite a lot, because they have an annual increase in their salary. Not salary, in their income, year on year. We also have an advice service now in Scotland, which has been going quite successfully, although it doesn't have as many callers as we would like to see, and that's disappointing. And you'll see that there's very low numbers here. So this is an advice service for anybody affected by ataxia in Scotland, and we're looking at the period since it opened, so April 23 to April 25. And only 48 people have called that service. Now, it's not a full-time service, so we're not pouring salary down the drain. But on the other hand, there is more capacity there, and it would be really great if we could publicise it sufficiently to get a bigger take-up from our friends in Scotland. But again, you can see that the primary things that are of concern to people when they call are benefits, roughly the same percentage as in England, and also NHS. But maybe people in Scotland are more satisfied with their NHS service, because that was up to 45%, I think, in the other table for the helpline. However, saying that, we find that people, as I said earlier, tend to accept their lot and put up with things that are not very satisfactory, such as not seeing a neurologist annually. And Camilla down in the southwest is finding that there are people who haven't seen a neurologist for years and years and years. Wendy Omant, our Director of Services, will talk later about the various other services that we provide. Those of you who came to the research updates yesterday will have gained an understanding of how much research is beginning to get to the trial stage. Here's a graphic representation of that, which shows the pipeline of drugs. So let me just get there. Right, so I'm not expecting, this writing's quite small, I'm not expecting you to be able to see everything on this screen, just how far these bars are going across. The top one is Sky Claris, which of course is available to patients in some parts of the world. We have Vatiniquone, Paritide. It's really unfortunate the difficult names they give to these drugs. So this is for FA, in which most of the progress has been made. But believe me, 10 or 15 years ago, there was hardly anything on this graph. So you can see that there is quite a bit of progress. We've got a number of drugs in phase 1 and phase 2 trials, which have to be gone through, take time, and then they can get to a phase 3 trial and hope that they can prove efficacy and utility and safety. Well, the safety comes first in 1 and 2. Here's some charts for some of the scars. Interestingly, in the scars, there are several drugs where they are looking for application across more than one scar. So trirolizole appears in each of these graphs for scar 1, scar 2, scar 3, and scar 6. And there are some others. There's coincidence of some of the others as well. So that gives reason for optimism. And Paul, you're right that the excuse me, I just need to deal with a husband who's come into the room. I'm speaking, my dear. Sorry, that really discombobulated me. He's trying to get me a cup of tea, which is very kind, but not now, please. You're right, Paul. When I spoke at this conference last year, I remember being optimistic that by now we would have at least one drug available for one ataxia. Omaveloxolone for FA seemed like the best prospect, but there were others which haven't progressed, though they have stumbled in European and US regulatory systems rather than in the UK. But that indicates the attitude of pharmaceuticals to UK regulation processes. They don't generally submit to the UK ahead of Europe and America. They find the regime difficult and lengthy, and as the population is small, there's no incentive to hurry here for early adoption by the NHS. And we will have Nick Mead speaking later in the morning, explaining all about the approvals processes and also what we and Genetic Alliance are doing in order to try and get things changed. I know how disappointed people must feel that a year on, we still have no drugs for any ataxia approved in the UK, though we are still awaiting the OMAV result in Scotland, which has a different process to decide whether to supply a drug through the NHS. However, what is clear is that the Scottish Medicines Consortium usually reaches the same decision as NICE. probably because they both assess a medication on cost effectiveness. But there are some notable exceptions where they have reached a different conclusion. So we still have reason to be hopeful about Scotland. After the withdrawal of OMAV from the NICE process, we wrote an open letter to the Secretary of State for Health, which nearly 10,000 people signed, asking for a meeting to address two urgent recommendations. Firstly, the introduction of a funded, temporary, compassionate programme to help people access the drug before final approval in order to be able to treat this devastating progressive condition. Secondly, we asked for a variation in the criteria for the NICE medications assessment process for rare diseases like FA. They have a separate process for conditions that have a rarity of less than 300 patients. But there are still other conditions that are rare. They may not have less than 300 patients, but they are not common or everyday, and that includes all of the ataxias. It is ridiculous to assess a drug for any drug for the ataxias using the same process as you would use for a drug for the general population, especially when no treatments currently exist. Since receiving the OMAV withdrawal from the decision about withdrawing OMAV from the NICE approval process, we've been lobbying and campaigning in a way we've never done before. In July, Professor Paola Giunti and I attended the all-party parliamentary group on rare diseases in Westminster, where we'd been invited to speak about our experience with OMAV in the NICE process. It does feel that there is beginning to be some impetus towards pressing for change in NICE and in the MHRA, which licenses drugs. That impetus is coming from patient groups, but also from pharmaceuticals, though our motivations for change don't align in every instance with that of the pharmaceuticals. There is a shared interest in some areas, and it's more effective when we can agree. Since July, I've attended a number of meetings with other patient groups and charities who've had similar difficulties getting drugs into the NHS to try and work out a way forward. Although I don't see NICE criteria changing imminently, I was invited to give Ataxia UK's views on NICE processes at a meeting that they convened, which included all the agencies which partner with it and representatives of the British pharmaceutical industry. With a number of other patient group representatives, I was also invited to the MHRA to a meeting to discuss changes it's considering. Many of you have got behind this campaign and written to your local MPs. If you have had a reply, please do let us know. We are building a list of those MPs who are aware of ataxia and might be inclined to be helpful. Throughout, we've been active on social media to reinforce the messages and capitalise on the awareness raising potential, which is a byproduct of campaigning. In particular, people are responding to our Facebook page, where we have nearly 10,000 followers. In September, in the run-up to International Awareness Day, having received a bland response from the Minister, we wrote to him again, requesting a temporary compassionate access programme for omavaloxolone and for a meeting with the Department of Health and Social Care, clinicians and the FA community to explore a way forward. In the week of International Ataxia Awareness Day, we focused our work on an awareness campaign around the themes create, educate and celebrate. We engaged our community who shared inspiring works of art, poetry and stories, and we planned for a media campaign with patron of Ataxia UK, Dom Jolly. We are pleased to have brought the OMAV campaign and Ataxia UK's wider work to new audiences as part of International Awareness Day. Across the BBC and other networks, our awareness raising is reaching a combined audience of millions, and there's more to come out in the coming weeks. So please stay tuned. One of my favourite pieces of recent coverage was our friend Nikki and her son Jasper discussing Jasper's journey with FA on Times Radio. Huge thanks to Nikki, Jasper, and our patron Dom Jolly for being such wonderful ambassadors. Here's a short clip of Nikki being interviewed by Fee Glover on Times Radio.
Okay. And I mean, part of the reason why we're talking to you today is to find out exactly that, all of this about the condition. And I wonder what a kind of lack of knowledge around you has meant for Jasper and for your family. If people don't really know what it is that is happening, that must be very difficult.
I think it is difficult. And also, I mean, we lived a life of Riley before the diagnosis where, you don't have that. You don't have people staring at you in a wheelchair. I know that's very difficult for Jasper. It's constant people staring, also talking down at him. They don't mean to. I know they don't mean to. But always, if I'm with him, if I take him to the dentist or something, there's always that thing of almost like he's being treated as a child, not an adult. And it's been eye-opening as far as understanding disabilities, because obviously all disabilities are different and people have different needs and wants. And for Jasper, I think I'm so proud of him because it's not all doom and gloom. He's very good at communicating his needs and wants. He's going on a flight tomorrow for the first time, which is going to be amazing on his own. And I know that he's going to be absolutely fine with that because he's going to be able to tell people, look, I need you to do this for me or that for me, which is going to be great. But I mean, there are so many different types of ataxia. Jasper's got Friedreich's ataxia, which is the most common. But the different types of ataxia affect people in different ways. They can be early onset, they can be later onset. Some people get diagnosed, much later on in life.
Such awareness raising, such exposure is crucial to raise awareness of the ataxias. Our recent communications work has met with a number of positive comments from friends. I wanted to thank you for the letter you wrote to Right Honourable Wes Streeting MP regarding access for people with Friedreich's ataxia. Your advocacy is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for your hard work. I strongly believe we need to get OMAV into the NHS, as I think that they really underestimate how much it affects our lives and the quality of life we deserve. Thank you. Thank you so much for putting my story out there. I've had such wonderful comments regarding it, and it's great how you've put the pictures with it. Of course, none of this would be possible without people who feel strongly enough about the challenge of ataxia to give money to Ataxia UK or to offer their time and effort in fundraising for our work. We're grateful to all of you who give regularly, to those who give to the Big Give, which will be with us soon, or to those who leave us a gift in their will. Then there's fundraising. The people who hold coffee mornings or participate in the cake bake or run a stall. And then there's those who walk, swim, run or cycle. Indeed, it's amazing what people will get up to raise awareness and money for the work with people with ataxia.
Okay.
As I said, amazing what people will get up to in support of people with ataxia. That was Yvette Loach earlier this year, who raises money in memory of her son, who died with Friedreich's ataxia some years ago, and she has now raised over £30,000 with her branch in Kent, which is an amazing achievement. As ever, my thanks to the amazing Ataxia UK staff team. Our team is now 24 people strong. The commitment to the mission of Ataxia UK is huge, and the productivity of the team is extraordinary. Then there's the trustees, all of them connected to and affected by ataxia in some way. They help guide the strategy for the charity and very much support its implementation, and have provided much personal support to me over the years. Finally, some thanks to the outgoing chair of the board, William Littleboy. He's retiring after 6 years in the job and will be succeeded by Angela Hosey. You'll hear from them both later in the day. Thank you to everyone who supports our work in any way, through volunteering with us, fundraising, awareness raising, or financially. The challenges posed by ataxia have to be met through collective and collaborative action across the ataxia community, forming alliances and enlisting help where we can. Ataxia UK can't fix situations controlled by others, such as drug approvals, the state of the NHS, or the benefit system. But we can coordinate people's efforts, support and coordinate research, collect evidence of what people affected by ataxia think and want, and amplify their voices to your voices to decision makers. So everybody, thank you very much for being here today. I hope that you feel that we at Ataxia UK are discharging our duties and our stewardship satisfactorily. We are doing everything we can to ameliorate the issues that are caused for you by the ataxias. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Sue.